some bad news about the S24 Ultra. So if you've been worried and concerned and pissed off about the way that the screen looks, because a lot of folks have noted it looks less vibrant, it looks more washed out, to quote a lot of folks, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. Yes, it's not broken. It's not the anti-glare, anti-reflective screen. It's not because the software settings are jacked up. It's intentional. And enough people have complained about this. Samsung actually made a statement, so I will read you the statement. Compliment of 9 to 5 Google, they had it on their page. Made tracking it down easy. So, we have adjusted the colors and brightness of the Galaxy S24 series products to provide a more accurate and comfortable viewing during use. Some changes have been made to display technology to provide a more natural viewing experience, so users may notice differences in color depth compared to older devices. This display behavior is an intentional color adjustment and is not a product defect, so it can be used safely, like anyone was worried about safety. But to offer our customers the best possible experience, we value your feedback and continually improve our software as the market and consumer interests evolve. So basically what they're saying is the S24 Ultra is the iPhone that you never wanted. So there's been a lot of changes that they've made with the S24 series phones that really kind of ripped off Apple. So if you use an iPhone, if you come from that, they have a much more natural looking display. And Samsung, for years, it's one of their things that everybody knows them by: oversaturated, vibrant, bright, it doesn't represent real life, but it looks really, really good. And that's what we had with the previous phones. That's what we had with the S23 series, the S22 series. So a lot of people that have come over from those phones have bought an S24 series phone, and this is all three. It's not just the Ultra. And some folks have noticed that it does look less vibrant. So the first thought was, okay, this is an anomaly. This is different than what we've experienced with different phones. Therefore, it must be broken. And of course, theories abounded. Like I said in the beginning, some folks thought it was the anti-glare, anti-reflective screen, which I love this screen, by the way. I love this whole not having as much reflection and glare. Y'all may not care, some people may not notice, but when I'm recording my videos and I've got, it just doesn't really glare off the screen. So that's really cool for me, and I like it as for practical reasons as well. But it's not the anti-reflective coating. It's not the display. It's not a hardware issue. It's not a software bug. Samsung did this on purpose. And I believe they did it because they're trying to be like the number one kid on the block, especially here in the US, which is Apple. So the iPhone has had a very, very natural looking tone for a long time. They have I think it's called True Tone, if I can remember off the top of my head. And you can adjust the settings on the iPhone to some degree. But when it comes to the S24 Ultra, S24, everybody expected, okay, this is not right. This should be more bright. It should be more vibrant. And even folks have gone into the settings. I went into the settings and I changed things to vivid mode and I adjusted the color saturation stuff, and it changes a little bit. And I even had a little tips and tricks video I made last week where you can go into the developer settings and you can turn up the contrast, which by default the contrast is kind of low. You can change it up to high. It makes things punch and stand out a little bit more. But ultimately, there's nothing you can do to make this look as vibrant as the previous phone. So what I anticipate happening is that Samsung will probably adjust the settings in the phone and give you an option to make it look more vibrant. But as things are now, no, your phone's not broken. So if you try to return it and be like, oh, it's defective, it's not really defective. If you get a new one, it's going to be exactly the same way. And I've actually had a lot of comments from people saying, I'm not buying it, or they're unhappy with their purchase and they're going to return it. And I don't blame you. If you're spending $1,200, $1,299 on a phone, you want it to be what you expect it to be. You want the experience to be a Samsung experience. You don't want an iPhone experience. And I say this because when you take a look at it, it's like they basically are trying to mirror the way Apple does their screen. Because, well, if you're selling way more phones and you've got the largest market share here in the US, then clearly they're doing something right, right? Well, maybe, maybe not. And quite honestly, I don't care that much. I noticed it a little bit, but as I've been using the phone, I've been using it for almost 2 weeks now. I mean, it looks fine to me. And especially after you use it for a couple hours, use it for a day, your eyes kind of adjust to it. I like this more natural look. I never really liked the super oversaturated look too much. I would always kind of adjust my stuff because it just, didn't feel like it was accurate. It didn't feel like it was a representation of real life, especially when you would look at some of the stuff and you're like, man, these blues, they really pop. These greens, they're like super shiny. And then you look at real life and it's like, this doesn't quite look the way that it's supposed to. Now, it looked good. I mean, super vibrant, super vivid, super all those great things. And if that's what you want, well, right now you're going to be disappointed. Now, like I said, my anticipation is that they'll come up with a quote-unquote fix because it's not broken that will enable users to adjust it. And I get it. If you go into the settings and you try and adjust it for more natural and more vivid, it doesn't make much of a difference. And I really felt like it made more of a difference before, but that's probably because the tuning on the display was much higher for the vibrancy. So honestly, everything is just working the way that it's supposed to. The problem is people don't like the way that it's supposed to be doing it from Samsung's perspective. Samsung said, we're going to take this approach, and the users are like, I'm not really digging this. So what do? Well, if you're unhappy with it, certainly return it. And my thought process, though, is hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get an update on this, and then maybe you could rebuy it. But that's going to present a problem. And what's that problem? Well, a lot of people that have it right now pre-ordered it. So if you pre-ordered it and you got the double your storage upgrade and you got the exclusive color and you also got like the free Samsung credits and things like that, then you're going to be in for a rude awakening because you're going to lose those things. They don't come back because it's a pre-order deal. The pre-order deal is now gone. So if you decide to go take it back and then buy it again in a few weeks, you could be paying more money. You could be getting less trade-in. You could be getting not double your storage. You might have to settle for the 256 instead of the 512. So I would say maybe err on the side of caution on that part, but ultimately that doesn't give you a solution. It's still, you have the phone that you may be unhappy with. So that might be a risk that you're willing to take. That might be a risk that you're happy taking. You might be like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to keep my S23 Ultra for another year. I'll return this sucker. We'll try again with the S25 series phone. And I certainly don't blame you. I don't think anybody who's unhappy with this phone should be stuck with it. Now, on the other side of the coin, they could fix it in a couple weeks, and then it could be everything that you hope it is and more, but then you're going to be outside your return period. So I would say if you're that unhappy with it, if you haven't sent your trade-in yet, if you still got your S23 Ultra, maybe hang on to it. Just return this, and then we'll try again when the S25 series comes out. Or here's the thing, Samsung is always having deals. So in another couple of weeks, they'll have some more deals. I'm almost positive. So you could return it, and then maybe you'll get a decent deal. It won't be as good as like the trade-in stuff and the pre-order, but a lot of times they bring back the free double your storage. They bring back some of the other incentives. So that is an option. And the other option is just wait. And I'm sure they're going to come up with a solution for this that makes everybody happy. And then lastly, there's folks like me who just don't care that much, who are actually kind of happy with the change. So this is one of those things that's very subjective. Subjective meaning like we could both have different opinions on this. So you might see it and go, ooh, this is ugly. And I see it and I go, hey, I'm actually pretty happy with this. So I don't really have any complaints in that department, but I understand if you do. I don't want to downplay anybody's frustrations or anger because it's valid. I mean, it's like they pulled the rug out from under us and they did something that nobody was expecting, and they made it more like an iPhone. And I want to show you something real quick. Well, I will show you briefly. I'm recording with my iPhone right now. I had an issue. I recorded with my brand new camera. So I bought a brand new Panasonic Lumix S5. Really nice camera. I bought some Bluetooth wireless microphone stuff, and I thought it was pretty good. And then I put the video out yesterday, and people are like, I can't hear any sound, or I can only hear it in one ear. And I'm like, well, apparently it only recorded to one channel. So I think it's because I used the wrong cable. It didn't pick up in stereo sound. And that's what created that problem. So I'm going to try it again later, but right now it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm recording this because this is my normal work hours, but I just didn't have a chance to mess with it today. So hopefully tomorrow we'll be back with the regular camera, and then I can do things like hold up both phones at the same time. But this is the S23 Plus. It looks just like, if you cover this up, it looks just like a stinking iPhone. And I was blown away. This is the first time I really messed with it. My phone showed up, and I had both of them sitting on the table because I was putting a screen protector on this one and replacing it on my iPhone. And I swear, I picked up the phone, I thought it was my iPhone, and I was using it, and it was the S24 Plus. I'm like, man, they made it just like it. Even the antenna bands, like the antenna band on one side looks the same. You know, the 5G antenna port is basically in the same spot. They made these rounded corners on it. It looks just like an iPhone. So I don't know what Samsung's doing over there. I guess they're just all in on trying to give you the iPhone experience on a Samsung phone. And I think that's a recipe for failure. Like, Samsung has done a lot of really good things. They're basically the best, biggest number one, at least here in the United States, when it comes to Android phones. If you think Android phone, it's synonymous with Samsung. So I think they should kind of stand on their own and not try and copy everything that Apple does. Basically, you still got the 3-stack cameras on the back, but if they did this and put it in a different configuration, it would look completely identical to an iPhone. So I think that's what's going on here. I think that Samsung's like, all right, we're going to make this more appealing. Maybe we'll try and win over some Apple customers who pick up this phone and they think it really runs like an iPhone. And I think it's biting them in the butt, at least with certain segments of their fans who bought these phones. So there's nothing wrong with your phone. It's not the screen. It's not broken. It's a software thing. They can fix it. They can adjust it. They can push out an update. So now we just got to wait and see. But I'm going to sign off on here. That's all I got for now. Just, yeah, Apple and Samsung, man. Samsung has a serious Apple complex right now with these phones, and it's showing up in a big way and in a bad way for some folks. So that's all I got. If you have any questions or comments, please go to the comments section. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys next time.